The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of December 9 to 13 reveal that Sharon Newman will get updates on some important news that could affect her case. Chance Chancellor will come through with the lab results after having Sharon's old pill bottle and the remainder of her pills tested. Unless Jordan and Ian Ward somehow tamper with those results, it seems likely Nick Newman will be proven right. Sharon was clearly drugged with something that drove her off the rails, so Chance may have more info on that soon enough. Of course, Chance will have a huge decision to make about how hard he's going to fight for Sharon's sake. Since Chance is already on a break from Summer Newman, his latest efforts to help Sharon certainly aren't going to boost Summer's opinion of him. Chance may realize that if he aids with Sharon's defense strategy, his split from Summer will be permanently sealed. Nevertheless, Chance is a cop who values the truth, so he won't want Sharon punished too harshly for a crime that was beyond her control. An outraged Phyllis Summers, on the other hand, is bound to think this is a load of bull. It'll just be a way for Sharon to avoid facing consequences as far as Phyllis is concerned. Next, Jack Abbott will find himself under fire when it comes to his feud with Victor Newman. Nikki Newman will put Jack through a grilling session about his agenda and may accuse Jack of fueling the flames of conflict again. As for Diane Jenkins Abbott, she'll stand up to Victor and insist she's not bluffing about her big wins with Jack. Diane will basically run a victory lap over Glissade and how they've brought Kyle Abbott back into the family fold, but Victor may have a hunch that she's celebrating prematurely. Next, Kyle will be stumped over Summer's behavior. Although Summer seems jealous, she may make some conflicting moves to cover her insecurities over Kyle and Clare Newman's deepening relationship. With Jordan and Ian Ward's wicked partnership still intact, they'll inevitably deliver more unpleasant surprises. Ian and Jordan are a powerful duo, but there's the potential for them to turn on each other as their storyline moves along. Finally, Y&R may offer up some developments regarding Nate Hastings' search for his half-brother Damien. Audra Charles seems poised to help Nate track Damien down, so stick with us for predictions on the road to Nate's family discovery. The Young and the Restless spoilers say the week of December 9 to 13 will bring plenty of excitement, so stay tuned. We'll have other great Young and the Restless spoilers, predictions, updates, and news to check out, so make us your favorite Willa and our hotspot. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers. In the treacherous underworld of Geno City, secrets are currency, and the most valuable ones are those that can break the people with the most power. Clare Newman, a young and ambitious woman, has unknowingly become the target of two of the city's most manipulative and dangerous figures. She is about to face a challenge she could never have prepared for. Behind the scenes, two ruthless masterminds, Ian Ward and Jordan, have been quietly but carefully plotting their next move. Their target, Clare, Ian and Jordan, who have collaborated in the shadows before, know that Clare is vulnerable, caught between her desire for freedom and the trust she places in those around her. To them, she is nothing more than a pawn, a perfect tool to achieve their ultimate goal, control. With Clare's innocence and trust in her relationships, particularly with Kyle Abbott, they believe they can break her. Their plan is calculated, and their patience has paid off. Clare is their chosen prey, yet she remains blissfully unaware of the imminent danger lurking around every corner. Clare, however, has her own plans. Meanwhile, after weeks of building tension, Clare and Kyle have finally decided to take their relationship to the next level. The chemistry between them has been undeniable. Tonight, after days of anticipation, they agree it's time for their first intimate encounter. For Kyle, this moment represents a victory. He has been patient, driven by desire, yes, but also by a darker need for possession. Kyle's eagerness is evident in every touch and every glance, yet his excitement harbors something more controlling. The passion is intense, but as the night unfolds, Kyle's true intentions begin to surface. For him, winning Clare over isn't just about love, it's about ownership. What neither Clare nor Kyle knows is that they are not alone. Hidden in the shadows, Jordan watches the entire scene unfold. The woman who has long manipulated the lives of others has taken her game to a new, invasive level. A hidden camera records their intimate moment, a grotesque violation of privacy. To Jordan, it's just another calculated move in her larger scheme. Jordan watches with twisted satisfaction. She sees Clare's innocence and Kyle's hunger, knowing the cards are stacked in her favor. Ian Ward, working alongside her, ensures the plan succeeds. Their collaboration is seamless, their infiltration into Clare's life terrifyingly thorough. Clare, standing mere feet from them at times, has no idea who they truly are. Ian and Jordan's deception is unparalleled. With new identities, they've managed to become invisible to everyone, friends, enemies, and even Clare herself. They navigate the shadows with ease, gathering evidence and tightening their grip on her life. Each day, their power grows stronger, their control more absolute. Meanwhile, other dramas unfold in Genoa City. Nick Newman and Chance Chancellor, both dealing with their own complicated histories, find themselves at odds. Their disagreements escalate, threatening to collapse their partnership entirely. Nick, guided by sharp instincts, suspects something is amiss. His concern for Clare's safety intensifies as he pieces together fragments of troubling information. Chance, however, dismisses Nick's concerns as paranoia. The tension in Genoa City is palpable. Secrets, schemes, and conflicts converge, setting the stage for explosive revelations and betrayals. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, December 5, reveal that Nick Newman will have another heated confrontation with Adam Newman. Since Nick wasn't happy about Adam reaching out to Sharon Newman recently, he already tried to warn his brother to steer clear of her. Adam pointed out that he doesn't take orders from Nick, so he'll apparently prove it by speaking with Sharon once again. It seems Adam just won't be able to stay away from Sharon, so Nick will flip out and deliver another warning. Although Adam may show Sharon more support, Nick won't want him to stir up any additional trouble. Since Nick doesn't trust Adam not to make matters worse, he'll push him to just back off. Unfortunately, this won't be the only conflict Adam faces in Thursday's I and R episode. Adam will also cross paths with Billy Abbott, and most likely try to provoke him over his budding relationship with Sally Spectra. Sally will spot that tense conversation in progress and will ultimately praise Billy for how he handles it. It sounds like Billy will avoid losing his temper for the most part and may prove he can handle Adam maturely. Whatever the case, Billy's actions on Thursday's show will earn Sally's approval and keep the momentum going when it comes to their new romance. Next, my and our viewers can expect Phyllis Summers to turn to someone surprising for backup. Once Phyllis updates Christine Blair on her desire for help, Christine will reluctantly agree to pitch in. Although Christine obviously isn't a big fan of Phyllis, she believes Daniel Romalotti Jr. and his loved ones deserve justice. Phyllis may push for Christine's assistance when it comes to ensuring that Sharon will face consequences. Of course, Phyllis is willing to take matters into her own hands if necessary, so that's something to keep in mind as Nick works to get Sharon off the hook. That said, our predictions hint that Phyllis' memory of the night she crashed could be a game changer. If Nick or someone else can get Phyllis to admit she saw a car that didn't belong to Sharon, it could offer a huge clue down the road. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Jordan and Ian Ward will face exposure sooner or later, so stay tuned for all the stunning news to come in Genoa City. The Young and the Restless spoilers recap for Wednesday, December 4, reveals that Sharon Newman will continue to doubt that the toxicology report is going to change anything, but Nick Newman will refuse to believe she just snapped on her own. Michael Baldwin will have concerns about Nick handing over the pill bottle to Chance Chancellor and will fear the prosecution could try to have any new evidence suppressed. However, Nick will trust Chance to do the right thing if there's something in the lab results that could help reduce Sharon's sentence. After Nick once again pushes Sharon to delay her guilty plea and avoid missing out on family milestones, he'll take her to the park for some fresh air. Sharon won't think she deserves Nick's support, but he'll disagree and promise he's not going anywhere. While Nick cuddles up to Sharon on a bench, Faith Newman will look lost in thought at society. Outside the restaurant, Clare Newman will quiz a disguised Jordan, but Jordan will use her best British accent and shut down the idea that they know each other from somewhere. Kyle Abbott will wonder if everything's ok, so Clare will suggest that woman seemed familiar, though she'll ultimately brush it off as nothing. Once Clare and Kyle enter society, they'll spot Faith and offer support following all the Sharon news. Faith will get uncomfortable and take off in a hurry since she'll want to meet up with Sharon. At Crimson Lights, Faith will come clean to Sharon and Nick about her run-in with Lucy Romolotti earlier. Sharon won't think it's fair for Faith to deal with backlash, so she'll insist Faith needs to go back to school. When Faith protests on Wednesday's I and R episode, Sharon will argue that it wasn't a request. Faith will counter that Sharon can send her away, but she'll just come right back since she's not going to abandon her mom. Nick will back Faith up since she's turned into a young woman who can make decisions of her own. After Nick hints about having something in the works that could help Sharon, he'll give Faith some hope. Back at society, Summer Newman will arrive to find Kyle kissing Clare's hand and will interact with them awkwardly before heading to the bar for her takeout. Clare will think Summer senses their deepening bond and is acting off, but Kyle will suggest maybe Summer's just stressed over family drama. Once Summer grabs her takeout order, she'll walk back over and wonder what's going on since Kyle seems closer to Clare. Kyle will admit they've indeed grown closer and will praise Clare for being the one to help him fix things with his parents. Summer will guess that answers her question and will be happy that this friendship is helping Kyle, though she'll seem to know it's more than that deep down. Once Summer leaves, Kyle will talk to Clare about how he's still struggling to move past all the resentment when it comes to Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott. After Kyle pushes Clare to keep guiding him, they'll share a kiss. At the Abbott mansion, Diane will suspect Jack is still carrying around some pain, but he'll insist he's forgiven Kyle. Although Jack will feel like he has to be cautious and avoid pushing too hard, Diane will urge him to initiate his own conversation with Kyle to mend fences. Once talk turns to Diane's career path, Jack will propose that she run Glissade since he's folding it into Jabot as a retro line with a new spin. It'll be a way to honor Jabot's history, but Jack will suggest Diane can call the shots and that it can be her baby. After Diane accepts the offer, Jack will suggest they deserve to see Victor Newman's face when they offer updates on their victories regarding both Glissade and Kyle. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Diane and Jack will have some gloating to do soon, so we'll bring you more Predic. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, December 4, 2024, are here. In tomorrow's episode, fans can expect Summer Newman to grill Kyle Abbott about Clare Grace Newman. The Young and the Restless spoilers coming up on The Young and the Restless. Michael Baldwin counsels Sharon Newman. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott has a proposal for Diane Jenkins Abbott. Keep reading to find out what is coming up in the next episode of the CBS soap opera. Y and R spoilers. Clare Grace Newman's intimacy. Y and R spoilers for Wednesday, December 4 reveal that Clare ended up finally getting intimacy with Kyle. They tried once before, but it was interrupted before they really got anywhere. This time, Clare and Kyle were able to enjoy their passion. In addition to it being their first time together, it was also Clare's first time ever. The Young and the Restless spoilers Summer Newman's interrogation. Summer told Chance Chancellor that they needed to take a break. Now, Summer is eyeing Kyle and Clare. Fans watched as Summer glared at Kyle and Clare's closeness at the celebration of Newman's new role as Chancellor. Just when Clare and Kyle have taken the next step in their relationship, Summer will start asking questions. Summer will grill Kyle about his relationship with Clare. So it seems that Kyle might have some soul-searching to do, especially if Summer suddenly wants him back. I&R spoilers, Michael Baldwin's counsel. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, December 4 reveal that Michael will give Sharon some counsel. Sharon wants to plead guilty and head straight to prison. Sharon doesn't want a trial and doesn't want a defense. However, Newman is convinced that something isn't right with the case despite Sharon's confession. While Sharon is ready to get this over with, Nick has asked Chance to dig deeper. READAMORE, The Young and the Restless spoilers. Fans steamed over Sharon's coffee house brouhaha. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Wednesday, December 4, 2024. On Wednesday, December 4, fans will watch as Jack has a proposal for Diane. I wonder if this has to do with Jack telling Diane that he bought all the shares of Glissade at rock-bottom prices. This means there is a CEO spot at Jabot as well as Glissade. Could Jack propose that his wife take one while his son take the other? Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most on Wednesday, December 4, 2024? What are your predictions for Jack, Diane, Clare, Summer, and Kyle? What does the future hold for Chance, Nikki, Sharon, Nick, Michael, and the rest of the Geno City residents? The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, December 4, 2024 are here. In tomorrow's episode, fans can expect Summer Newman to grill Kyle Abbott about Clare Grace Newman. The Young and the Restless spoilers coming up on The Young and the Restless. Michael Baldwin counsels Sharon Newman. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott has a proposal for Diane Jenkins Abbott. Keep reading to find out what is coming up in the next episode of the CBS soap opera. My&R spoilers, Clare Grace Newman's intimacy. My&R spoilers for Wednesday, December 4 reveal that Clare ended up finally getting intimacy with Kyle. They tried once before, but it was interrupted before they really got anywhere. This time, Clare and Kyle were able to enjoy their passion. In addition to it being their first time together, it was also Clare's first time ever. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Summer Newman's interrogation. Summer told Chance Chancellor that they needed to take a break. Now, Summer is eyeing Kyle and Clare. Fans watched as Summer glared at Kyle and Clare's closeness at the celebration of Newman's new role as Chancellor. Just when Clare and Kyle have taken the next step in their relationship, Summer will start asking questions. Summer will grill Kyle about his relationship with Clare. So it seems that Kyle might have some soul-searching to do, especially if Summer suddenly wants him back. I&R spoilers, Michael Baldwin's counsel. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, December 4 reveal that Michael will give Sharon some counsel. Sharon wants to plead guilty and head straight to prison. Sharon doesn't want a trial and doesn't want a defense. However, Newman is convinced that something isn't right with the case despite Sharon's confession. While Sharon is ready to get this over with, Nick has asked Chance to dig deeper. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Wednesday, December 4, 2024. On Wednesday, December 4, fans will watch as Jack has a proposal for Diane. I wonder if this has to do with Jack telling Diane that he bought all the shares of Glissade at rock-bottom prices. This means there is a CEO spot at Jabot as well as Glissade. Could Jack propose that his wife take one while his son take the other? Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most on Wednesday, December 4, 2024? What are your predictions for Jack, Diane, Clare, Summer, and Kyle? What does the future hold for Chance, Nikki, Sharon, Nick, Michael, and the rest of the Genoa City residents. The Young and the Restless scoop for Wednesday, December 4 reveals Summer Newman will put Kyle Abbott and Clare Newman on the spot. Also coming up, Michael Baldwin will not be pleased with Nick Newman. Plus, Sharon Newman wants Faith Newman to go back to college, and Jack Abbott will make Diane Jenkins an offer she can't refuse. Our spoilers tease Jack and Diane will belabor everything that went down with Kyle. Jack will tell Diane she made a great sacrifice for their son, but he'll also ask if she's thought about her next career move. When she says no, he'll tell her he has an idea. And our daily scoop. Diane reacts to Jack's generous career offer. Jack will say he wants to roll Glissade into Jebot and launch a retro line of Jebot cosmetics in homage to his father. But it'd be your baby, you call the shots. Diane will say she'd love it. First, though, he wants to see Victor Newman's face when he learns they got one over on him. At Crimson Lights, Nick will try to convince Sharon to hold off before changing her plea. He wants her to at least wait until the medication toxicology results are in. You really think there was something wrong with those pills? Sharon will ask. Nick will say he's suggesting there could have been something wrong with the pills themselves. But Michael will be alarmed when Nick says he gave the pills to Chance Chancellor. He'll remind him Chance is the lead detective on the case. Michael will add the DA could suppress the evidence or even suggest that Nick planted it. But Nick will say he can trust Chance. Sharon will say she trusts him too, but Nick is just delaying the inevitable. So Nick will list off milestones in their children's lives that she'll miss if she gives up. When Michael leaves to go talk to Chance, Nick will suggest they get out of there, so they'll head to the park. He'll tell her he's not going anywhere. It continues to shock me that you still support me, even though you know I'm guilty, Sharon will say. I don't deserve your goodness, Nick. Once they're back at Crimson Lights, they'll see Faith. She'll tell them she ran into Lucy Romalotti, and it was awful. The way Lucy talked, they really want Mom to pay for this. And she'll ask Sharon if she's going to spend the rest of her life in prison. Young and the Restless scoop. Faith will refuse to leave Genoa City. Sharon will say she doesn't want Faith to be around for this and will suggest she go back to school. But Faith will say she's not going to abandon her. She's staying in Genoa City. I agree with her, Nick will tell Sharon. At Society, Claire will notice a blonde woman standing outside. Excuse me? She'll say to her, do I know you? But Jordan will say she doesn't think so and she'll take off. Kyle will ask Claire if she's okay and she'll say the woman just looked familiar. They'll get a table and revel in the afterglow of their first time making love. As they're flirting, Kyle will lean down and kiss Claire's hand just as Summer walks in. She'll walk over and say hi. Kyle will ask if she wants to join them, but she'll decline and wait for takeout at the bar. Claire will ask if Summer's being kind of weird with them. Like she sensed we're closer, that something shifted. But Kyle will say Summer has a lot going on in her life right now. Plus, he doesn't want her to worry about Summer or anything else. Finally, Summer will get her takeout and start walking away. But she'll think better of it and will instead confront Kyle and Claire. What's going on between you two? She'll ask. I can't help but notice how much closer you seem to be lately. Kyle will tell Summer they enjoy being together. She brings me good luck, he'll add smugly. I reconciled with my parents, thanks to Claire. Summer will say she's glad they found friendship together, but she won't look like she's glad about it at all. The Young and the Restless spoilers revealed Jason Thompson recently revealed a horrific leg injury he suffered on the cusp of his 48th birthday, no less. The actor hopped on Instagram to share the troubling news and was met with some concern from both fans and castmates. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Jason Thompson's early birthday gift. Our spoilers indicate that Jason's character is currently suffering from a hurt ego since his mother, Jill Abbott, fired him from Abbott Chancellor and sold the company to his nemesis, Victor Newman. Still, it looks like Jason's leg injury is pretty painful. He uploaded a video on IG stating, "It's Tuesday today. Tomorrow is Wednesday. It's my birthday. I'm turning 48, and I got the perfect birthday present on Saturday afternoon." He goes on to note that the injury is the perfect reminder that I'm getting a little long in the tooth. Thompson states, "I was playing adult league soccer, 15 minutes into my warm-up, taking some shots on the goalie and pop. Felt it, heard it, really, really uncomfortable." Jason then revealed a bruise on his leg, as he jokingly notes, "I mean purple all the way gnarliness." He did note that he was going to see his doctor, but that didn't stop the pour-in of support from fans and Y&R castmates. Y&R spoilers, fans and castmates comment. Y&R fans were quick to rush to the comments to not only share their concern, but healing vibes and birthday wishes too. In addition, some of Jason's I&R colleagues made comments, with Melissa Clare Egan writing, "And you let me complain about my shoulder today." Meanwhile, Michael Graziadie also asked, "WTF? They gonna have to amputate?" Soap interviewer and podcaster Michael Fairman also commented stating, "Jason, I've been through it when my bicep ruptured off. Ugh, it sucks getting old, doesn't it? Hang in there. Happy belated birthday." On behalf of everyone here, we wish Jason Thompson a speedy recovery. Tune into the Y&R Daily on CBS and visit SOS often for the best Young and the Restless spoilers and updates. It has been a while since we saw the fresh and enticing Noah Newman on The Young and the Restless. The fandom constantly complains about how the soap has a tendency to only focus on the older characters. They completely forget that young is very much part of the main theme. It has been forever since we saw an actual storyline weaved around the younger generation of the soap. These characters usually end up hanging around the sidelines while the usual mainstays continue to bask in the limelight. However, in 2022, The Young and the Restless struck gold with a young, adorable, and likable couple, Noah and Ali. Sadly, they left the canvas right after Audra infiltrated the orbit, and we haven't seen them ever since. Time and again, the Y&R fandom has spoken about wanting the young guns back on the soap, but so far, the makers haven't really made that happen. Perhaps it wasn't fitting into the ongoing storylines. However, we think now is the perfect time to bring them back, or at least Noah Newman. His mother, Sharon, is accused of murder. She is on the brink of a total mental breakdown. For all anyone knows, she could end up in prison for a long, long time. If this doesn't call for her son to come back to town, what does? In the real world, this would be impossible to address. While we do agree that this is the soapverse, and we must grant it certain creative liberties, but hey, it's all about the family drama. And how can we have that if we don't have any family on canvas? Noah is an integral part of the Newman family. He is Sharon and Nick's son. He needs to be home to support his mother. Besides, even as a character, Noah has always had so much potential. Even if we can't get Noah and Ali back as a couple, the makers can bring Noah back as single. Audra is his ex and perhaps even wanted him back at some point. That's a storyline waiting to happen at the snap of the finger. So stay tuned to Soap Opera Daily for more The Young and the Restless spoilers to find out if Noah has any chances of making a comeback. Meanwhile, tell us your take on the topic in the comments. The Young and the Restless spoilers. The deception unfolds. In the quiet, seemingly peaceful park of Genoa City, two young women, Faith and Lucy, found themselves having a deep and emotional conversation. The soft rustling of the trees provided a subtle backdrop to their intense words. Faith, Sharon's daughter, was struggling with her emotions, and the weight of her turmoil became more apparent as she spoke. She couldn't understand what had happened to her mother. Over the years, she'd watched the once strong and loving woman she knew transform into someone almost unrecognizable. "She's changed so much, Lucy," Faith said, her voice laced with sadness and frustration. "I don't even recognize her anymore. She's like, a monster. I don't know who she is. How could she do this to me, to us?" Lucy, who had seen Sharon's transformation for some time, nodded in agreement. She knew all too well the toll Sharon's increasingly erratic behavior had taken on her family. But Lucy also understood there were deeper, darker forces at play. It wasn't just Sharon's mental state that had been compromised. There was something more insidious at the heart of her unraveling. "I've known this for a while now," Lucy said quietly, her gaze heavy with the weight of unspoken knowledge. "I've tried to understand it, to find a way to stop it. But some things, Faith, they go beyond what we can fix. Sometimes people can't save themselves." Faith's heart ached at those words, but a small part of her refused to accept them. She wanted to believe Sharon could be saved, that the woman who had once been her rock could somehow return to them. Deep down, though, she feared that wasn't possible. As their conversation continued, a woman approached them. She was dressed elegantly in a well-tailored coat and hat, her presence calm yet unsettling. Faith and Lucy exchanged a glance, unsure who this stranger might be. Yet they didn't feel threatened. She seemed kind, even concerned. "Excuse me, dears," the woman said in a soft voice, her tone tinged with vulnerability. "I'm terribly sorry to bother you, but I'm lost. I can't seem to remember where I live, and I think I might have Alzheimer's. Could you help me find my way home?" The woman's eyes were wide with faint concern, and her voice trembled slightly, drawing sympathy from both Faith and Lucy. Despite faint alarm bells ringing in their minds, they felt a natural inclination to help her. She seemed so genuine, her kindness difficult to ignore. "Of course, we can help you," Lucy said, offering a reassuring smile. "Do you remember anything about your house? Maybe a landmark or a street name?" The woman, whose name they would later learn was Jordan, smiled warmly. Yet there was something unnerving about her eyes, a coldness that was hard to pinpoint. She shook her head slowly, as if struggling to gather her thoughts. "I'm sorry," Jordan continued, her voice tinged with sadness. "I can't remember anything. I'm just so confused, and I'm afraid I might be a burden to my family. Could you please walk me home? I would be so grateful." Faith, ever the empath, felt a pang of sympathy. Her heart went out to the woman, especially knowing how difficult it must be to feel so lost and alone. How could they leave her stranded? "I'm sure it's not far," Faith said, looking to Lucy for confirmation. "We can help." Jordan's smile widened, but there was something predatory in it now, a cold glimmer of calculation. She had already planted the seed of trust in their hearts, and, with every word she spoke, skillfully manipulated them into following her. What the two girls didn't know was that Jordan wasn't just any helpless old woman. In reality, she was a master manipulator, skilled at playing the role of the innocent victim. She had carefully crafted this deception, using her disguise and silver tongue to lure the unsuspecting girls into her trap. As they walked with Jordan toward what they thought was her home, a sense of unease began to creep over Faith and Lucy. The path seemed unfamiliar, and the surroundings grew darker as they moved further from the park. Faith's heart began to race as she realized they were no longer in a neighborhood she recognized. But it was too late. Jordan turned to them with a false look of gratitude, her face now devoid of warmth. "I'm so sorry you had to go out of your way for me," she said, her voice no longer trembling. "But there's something important I need from you." Faith and Lucy froze, processing her words. Something wasn't right. The air thickened and icy fear crept into their veins. Before they could react, Jordan revealed her true intentions. "I've been watching you too," Jordan continued with a twisted grin, her true nature finally revealed. "And now that I've got you where I want you, it's time to take what I need." The realization hit them like a ton of bricks. They had walked straight into a trap. Jordan wasn't an innocent old woman. She was a woman with a plan, and that plan involved them. Now they were helpless in her grasp. As Jordan's grip tightened, Faith and Lucy struggled to break free, but fear paralyzed them. Would anyone come to save them? Would someone realize they were in danger before it was too late? The fate of Faith and Lucy hangs in the balance as they face the terrifying reality of being manipulated by someone far more dangerous than they could have imagined. The question remains, who will come to their rescue, and will they be able to stop Jordan before it's too late? The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Nick Newman is on a mission to uncover the truth behind Sharon Newman's messed up meds. Nick has to believe there was something seriously wrong, since Sharon wouldn't have spiraled that far out of control for no reason. That's why Nick convinced Chance Chancellor to have what's left of Sharon's old pill stash tested. Sharon is doing well on a new dosage, but Nick suspects the previous batch and bottle might contain some hints about Sharon's mental break. There is already some talk about this potentially being a pharmacy issue, so maybe Ian Ward and Jordan roped a shady pharmacist into helping them. Whether this pharmacist is being bribed, threatened, or both, he or she could be a third partner in crime. Perhaps the pharmacist arranged for Sharon to get a very different drug that would cause her to hallucinate and spin out the way she did. If that's the case, it's only a matter of time until this pharmacist lands on the hot seat. Nick himself may follow the trail and put this person through an intense interrogation at some point. Of course, Chance Chancellor could also go after the pharmacist and grill him on behalf of the GCPD. Regardless, this is personal for Nick since he doesn't want to see the mother of his children locked up for something that wasn't her fault. My and our spoilers say Nick isn't going to back off when it comes to unraveling the rest of the story and trying to save Sharon from prison. You can bet Nick's going to stay involved and may score some pivotal clues along the way. Once this crooked pharmacist possibly gets exposed, Nick may be able to follow the trail to Jordan and Ian. It all depends on what the pharmacist might admit once his or her back is up against the wall, so we'll bring you more predictions on the investigation. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Nick will continue to step up for Sharon, so stay tuned for updates on all the stunning news ahead. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates tease Sally Spectra is set to find herself caught in a bit of drama during the week of December 2 to 6. While at Crimson Lights, it seems she will swing by for a cup of coffee with Billy Abbott, or they may simply bump into each other during their visit. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Adam Newman won't be happy. This will provide Billy and Sally with the opportunity to deepen their connection, but Adam Newman is not going to take it well. While Adam hopes to rekindle his relationship with Chelsea Lawson and restore their family unit, he hasn't completely moved on from Sally. Watching Sally develop feelings for one of his fiercest rivals has been increasingly troubling for him. Victor Newman has cautioned Adam to keep his frustrations hidden from Billy and Sally, but he's close to losing his temper. Adam will also be at the coffee house during Sally and Billy's visit, which means he might witness yet another intimate moment between them. My and our spoilers. Jealous Adam might interrupt. As a result, Adam may not be able to resist strutting over and delivering some insulting comments. Of course, Adam really needs to mind his own business and let Sally live her life the way she wants to. Sally gets to decide who she's romantically involved with, so she doesn't need to hear Adam's objections. Adam has no right to judge Sally after cheating on her and repeatedly lying about it. Sally's relationship with Adam turned into a massive dumpster fire, so it's easy to see why she just wants to put it in the rearview mirror. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Billy will prove himself to Sally. After witnessing the latest confrontation between Billy and Adam, upcoming spoilers indicate that Billy will rise to the occasion and demonstrate to Sally exactly what she desires. In Sally's eyes, this will serve as evidence that Billy is the superior choice, likely by refusing to let Adam bait him into a fight. Instead, Billy might take a stand for Sally, highlighting her strength and independence in making her own romantic decisions. She doesn't need Adam's validation, and Billy is likely to make that abundantly clear, sending Adam packing. Regardless of Adam's feelings, Sally is ready to make changes in her love life, and he'll have to accept that reality. The young and the restless Victor Newman has it all. Wealth, power, a brilliant wife in Nikki, a loving family. Well, some of the time. But none of it really seems to make him happy, does it? In fact, his only hobbies, and they bring him satisfaction perhaps but not joy, are smacking down his enemies and attempting to force his children to work together. What Victor needs, and badly, is something that he once had, something that he once treasured, in fact, a friend. Remember the Colonel. Despite the fact that Douglas Austin had been a con artist, he and Victor became the best of buddies. It was even Douglas who dragged Victor to the bayou the fateful night that he first glimpsed Nikki doing her best Gypsy Rose Lee. Nowadays, Victor has employees, allies, adversaries, but no one with whom he can actually pal around. Suppose out of boredom, if nothing else, he rang an old acquaintance and asked him to the ranch to have a beer, maybe go riding. An outsider's perspective could make a world of difference to Victor's behavior. Any sane person would be like, "Whoa, dude, you totally screwed over Lily. And bro, you went after Jack Abbott 'cause he helped get your wife off the sauce. That makes no sense." Make no mistake, Victor needs the reality check. Otherwise, he's destined to forever move in a circle, getting nowhere, ultimately, because he keeps lathering, rinsing, repeating the same schemes. And who's to say that Victor's new BFF has to be a man? It could be a woman, too. Imagine Victor having a drink with someone like Yellowstone's Tell It Like It is Beth Dutton or Grey's Anatomy's No BS Bailey. Maybe Victor could even forge a friendship with someone already on the canvas, but with not nearly enough to do. Alina maybe, or Tessa? In particular, Tessa sparked really nicely when offering beer and pearls of wisdom to Daniel not so longer. She could be exactly what Victor needs to look at himself and his life through new eyes. As an added bonus, she'd have more to do than fret over Aria or Sharon's problems with Mariah. Who do you imagine befriending Victor, who would dare to try? The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Phyllis Summers survived the car crash that Sharon Newman was responsible for causing. But viewers know that Jordan Howard, while not seen committing the act, likely caused Phyllis to veer sharply off the road. That night wasn't stormy but dark when Sharon and Phyllis were driving. Phantom texts, sent by Jordan or Ian Ward, lured Phyllis to the cottage on Newman territory. Phyllis' impulsiveness led to her accident, but she doesn't offer many lines about personal responsibility. Instead, she believes Sharon is trying to kill her, and no one can blame Stafford's character at this point in the plot, because she appears to have been vindicated. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Sharon Newman will be cleared. Case leads this deep storyline, but has nicely woven Stafford and Joshua Morrow into it. That's fitting because it's the 30th anniversary year of all actors' debut on My and R. Consider where the show would be without the decision to have SORA's Nick, with Morrow becoming the recast. Sharon likely wouldn't have followed if that didn't happen, because she was created to play his romantic interest. Sharon is being gaslighted, a term that's undoubtedly moved to or arrived in the cliché zone. Jordan and Ian's confessed use of her means she has not committed the most heinous acts ascribed to her, which also means Sharon is not in danger of being put in prison for decades. My and R spoilers, Chance Chancellor's specific insight. Thankfully, Chance Chancellor is handling this case. Some may recoil after reading the last sentence, but follow along to the next. Chance knows Sharon better than anyone on the force, including the rarely seen Kevin Fisher. As an aside, here's hoping that Kevin is written back into the show so that he can assist Genoa City, Wisconsin's restored lead detective. Reichardt is an outstanding actor, and his presence is always appreciated. So, Sharon became close with Chance following Ray Rosel's death. Villasuso is another actor who is missed, though it will be harder to bring him back as he'd have to play a new man. Chance is more likely than any other member of the force to detect Sharon's memory gaps as signs of her innocence. It's not that he wants to find a way to free her, but that he knows her personality and should begin to put the missing pieces together, which causes him to conclude that Sharon could not have committed all the acts she's confessed to. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Phyllis Summers is released. Phyllis' visit with Billy Abbott was important. In addition to her pending release from the hospital, she learned he wants to partner with her to go after Victor Newman. Nothing will stop Phyllis from going after Sharon, who she believes framed Daniel Rumalotti, Michael Graziati, for Heather Stevens' murder, and then tried to kill her on the road. Even Victor didn't behave like that. However, Billy will provide enough distraction and help Phyllis see a different daytime light. As fans saw, she realized something important when reflecting on the moment of her car crash impact. Her mind is opening up, and with that can come the realization that dark forces are at work against her and Sharon. So, getting Heather's true killer will eventually become Sharon and Phyllis' combined goal. This site is a leading source for everything linked to the Young and the Restless. Check back regularly for Y and R spoilers and news. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Summer Newman has a lot going on in her life. Her mother's survival is a Thanksgiving blessing, and her brother's legal clear offers great hope for the Christmas season. However, her rediscovered cousin, Clare Newman, remains vexing. While Summer came to acknowledge that Clare's horrific childhood drove her to attack the Newman family, she isn't likely to become a close confidant. Kyle Abbott fell out of love with Summer and now appears to be falling into it with Clare. That setup is oh so soapy and projects a potential triangle attempt in the new year. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Kyle Abbott is readjusting. Kyle is just leaving a tumultuous and weird time with his parents. Devoted fans know that Jack Abbott and Diane Abbott felt compelled to take extreme action. Diane was forced to fire Kyle when his repeated insubordination became intolerable. His inability to become Jabot's co-head led to a jealous retaliatory stance, with Kyle believing his father would eventually see that Diane was not up to the job. Instead of Kyle's projection happening, Jack sided with Diane and didn't prevent him from being terminated. Victor Newman used that conflict to his advantage, and Kyle was eventually discarded, as Jack and Diane had predicted. Kyle's readjustment to normalcy includes returning to Jabot and being ready for love, but not reconciling with Summer. Y and R spoilers. Summer Newman wants her life back. Summer gave up a lot for Kyle, and he repaid her with betrayal. Their divorce was the act of an immature human being, many years Kyle's junior. He made that decision in haste and hasn't come to regret it. Kyle has a new option, and Summer's second choice, Chance Chancellor, isn't projecting to her next husband. That leaves Summer out in the Midwestern winter's cold, where she doesn't plan to stay. Seeing Clare with Kyle and deepening her bond with Harrison Abbott is unacceptable. But how can Summer change that dynamic? The Young and the Restless spoilers. Clare Newman becoming family. Within months, Clare has ingratiated herself into the Newman family's lives. Everyone, except Adam Newman, has forgiven Clare and trusts her. Clare just accepted Nikki Newman's offer to revive her right-hand role, shifting her focus from Newman Media to Chancellor. What was a friendship with Kyle is now an emerging relationship that trends toward the couple's status. This fluidity of this part of Clare's life leaves an opening for Summer, or at least that's the perception Lanier's character holds. Soon, the audience will know if Summer intends to win Kyle back or accepts that her cousin has taken what was a vital part of her life.